Say hello to the Mitsubishi Triton Extreme. The enduring dual cab ute finally has the tough truck treatment that it's long been asking for, and it's coming to a dealership near you. Let's break it down and I'll show you all the things you need to know about the Mitsubishi Triton Extreme. It's no secret that Mitsubishi has been interested in having its own off-road ready ute to rival the likes of the Nissan Navara Pro 4X Warrior and Volkswagen Amarok W580. It's tapped the engineers of the latter, Walkinshaw, to put the Triton through finishing school to create an uncompromising off-road ute and a fitting send-off for the current generation. The Triton Extreme costs $71,990 before on-road costs, and it will become available from the third quarter of 2023. We're here on Walkinshaw's home turf, the Lang Lang Proving Ground, where it used to develop HSVs, to get our first taste test of the Triton Extreme. Now obviously this isn't your run-of-the-mill Mitsubishi Triton. You've got these black fender flares up front to widen that track. You also have these 18-inch wheels wrapped in BF Goodrich all-terrain tyres. That's new for a Mitsubishi Triton. At the back you've got a black sailplane sports bar, and even at the front you have a bash plate with an integrated LED light bar. Decal design is said to have mimicked Mitsubishi's own Dynamic Shield styling language, and I think it leans into this ute's aggressive front-end look. Less obvious are the changes underneath the skin, but it does get a set of Super Shock monotube dampers with remote canisters. Notably absent, there are no changes to the powertrain, as it would have been prohibitively expensive to emissions test. So it's based on the Triton GSR, which uses a 2.4 litre turbo diesel 4-cylinder engine, which makes 133 kilowatts and 430 newton meters. As well, the 6-speed automatic gearbox remains unchanged. Walkinshaw says towing capacity is unchanged from the normal Triton, which stands at 3,100 kilograms braked. There are also no changes to the gross combination mass, which stands at 5,885 kilograms, no changes to the payload, which remains 900 kilograms, and no changes in ride height. However, it is slightly wider thanks to those fender flares. The changes Walkinshaw has applied focus in on suspension compliance and off-road ability rather than increasing ride height or carrying capacities. There's not a whole lot of change inside the cabin, so we'll keep this one brief. You still get a really good driving position, and there's a good amount of adjustability between the seats and the steering wheel to get that perfect driving position. The seats themselves are really comfy, and I'm sat in a really nice position here. And in terms of amenity, you've got a 7-inch infotainment unit, which actually doesn't have native satellite navigation, but it does have wide Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The rest of the ute, it is a little bit plasticky, it is a little bit older than the other utes in its segment, but it's still a good work-oriented place to spend your time. In the back seat, there's good room for your head and feet, though the space is limited side to side. Now let's get a feel for how extreme this Triton really is. Now obviously there are no changes under the bonnet, so you still have the 133 kilowatts and 430 newton meters out of that 2.4 litre turbo diesel engine. Now what I'm feeling at the moment is the Triton has that light steering feel when you're at higher speeds, but as we know with Triton, it does have a bit of a heavy steering feel when you get to those lower suburban speeds, which makes it a bit of a tricky thing to negotiate and maneuver around town. However, it does have one of the best turning circles of the dual cab ute segment, and Walkinshaw says itself that with the changes it's made to the suspension, it shouldn't actually be that different, so that's really handy for the people who drive this around town with a work-oriented focus. Now with 133 kilowatts and 430 newton meters, this ute is certainly not the fastest of the dual cab utes. And it would have been nice for Walkinshaw to make changes in that department, but I can understand it, the model's coming to the end of its life. Hopefully they get to change it on the next time they do this kind of thing, hopefully with the next generation Triton. The 6-speed transmission is really responsive to changing throttle inputs, and it serves up a good deal of acceleration when you really put your foot into it, which is really nice, and you really get that surge of acceleration when it's needed. Now with the Triton, you do get a good driving position. I've got a good view out over the bonnet here, and it's quite high, but I'm feeling I'm really in command of this car, and it feels quite safe in my hands. It also has a really good road holding ability. The one thing that really makes people's lives easier is the standard fit BF Goodrich all-terrain tyres. Now that's the sort of thing that any customer of a Triton will go to an aftermarket spot to go and get those items, but the fact that Mitsubishi will now offer it within dealerships straight from the showroom floor is really handy. One thing that's plagued the Triton for a long time now, especially in the comparison to newer utes on the market, it does have that clattery engine which really sort of makes itself known when you get on the throttle. Yeah, you can hear it there, it is quite loud. And there's a bit of road noise coming into the cabin here, but it does have a really good road holding ability. and you do feel sure-footed when you're going around corners. In addition to no changes under the bonnet, there are no changes to the braking system, which it isn't the best braking ute, but it certainly brings itself under control without too much of a fuss. With the Triton, you do get that jittery ride experience, and I'm not feeling a whole lot of difference with these Super Shock monotube dampers at the moment, but this thing is really meant for the off-road, so let's go see how it fares over there. Well, here we are behind the wheel of the car going off-road, and let me just have a bit of a play here. And we'll treat this as a bit of a sighting lap first of all, but this car is a really good base to base an off-road build on, and to make those incremental changes which will make it that much better when people take it off-road. And obviously the thing that a lot of people actually value is the fact that you can go to a dealership and just buy this straight off the showroom floor, which adds a lot of convenience factor for those people who sort of just want to set and forget and get right stuck into it without doing a whole lot of legwork themselves. Obviously, being a Triton, this car does get the Super Select 2 4-wheel drive system, which is controlled down here on the center console, and 4-low with a locked diff, which is what I've got it in at the moment, and it's absolutely just monstering this sort of terrain. Now, it's not the most challenging, granted, but we really are getting a feel here for quite how capable the Triton is, and especially with the introduction of those tyres, which are giving a whole lot more grip, and which would normally have a standard Triton sort of wandering and getting stuck. I'm actually really sure-footed here in this Triton, and it's actually a whole lot of fun too. Not specific to the Triton Extreme, but we do still have that standard Mitsubishi Triton hill descent control mode, which we don't really need it today because this car is sort of just monstering this terrain anyway, and it's granted maybe you won't even need that given the upgrades that Walkinshaw has made to this car, but that hill descent control mode is there. Now here we go up one of the steeper hills here at Lang Lang Proving Ground, and I'm putting my foot in it quite a lot, and the car's sort of just monstering it. There's a massive ramp over angle, and here we go, splash through a puddle. But even if you do get stuck in a little bit of a bother, the car does have that front bash plate, which will protect the internals from getting too damaged. Mitsubishi's Triton is one of the smaller utes on the market, especially when it comes to dimensions, but it does feel quite nimble and really easy to place on these off-road tracks here. You can feel that there's a whole lot of surety in the Super Shock dampers, and it's really just made this car, hasn't transformed it, but it has made that little incremental step forward in off-road ability that you really expect from an aftermarket fitter, let alone a showroom fit out, which is exactly where this car will come from. Ready to go straight off the showroom floor. This project could have easily fallen by the wayside in the lead up to the next generation Triton. We're more than glad that Walkinshaw has stuck it out to bring us the Triton Extreme. And it's not just a sticker pack special either. While not everything has been touched and the powertrain remains the same, there are incremental changes under the skin here to make an already capable vehicle that little bit better. However, the Triton Extreme comes at a $15,000 price premium over the next most expensive Triton variant. We wonder whether the few changes Walkinshaw has done are worth the extra spend, especially this late into the model's life cycle. For an in-depth rundown of the Mitsubishi Triton Extreme, read the full review at drive.com.au. Also, if you'd like this first look at the Mitsubishi Triton Extreme, be sure to like this video on YouTube and subscribe to stay up to date with all of our future content.